And now let's prepare for meditation.
God is here. God is now. God is all. God is the life within my heart. So I see and I feel and I know all is perfect and right in my world. God is here. God is now. God is all. God is the life within my heart. So I see and I feel and I know all is perfect and right in my world. All is perfect and right in my world.
Deep breath in now. Deep breath in and hold it for just a moment. And slowly, slowly exhale. Slowly exhale and begin to relax. Begin to settle in. Begin to let go. Begin to claim this time as your time. This is my time to renew, to reinvigorate, to know that God and I are one, that God and I are one. And so we breathe into that statement. We breathe into it and feel it. God and I are one. We breathe into the fact, to the knowing, to the being, to the doing that we are one with God, that we are one with the universe, that we are one with the source, that we are one with all that is, and all that is one with us. We are a part of everything that has been, and everything that will be, and everything that is right now. Breathing in and breathing out now, settling into a knowing of oneness, a being of oneness. We open our hearts and we open our minds to that oneness. We open our hearts, we open our minds to all those on this virtual service this morning. It's as though we're sitting next to each other in a sanctuary. And I'm saying, open your heart and feel that person next to you. Feel that energy, feel that love, and allow love to radiate out from you to that person. Breathing in and Breathing out now, we receive that love. We receive it now. We feel it. We absorb it. We are that love. And in the midst of receiving, we give. We give that love. We send it out to the person next to us, to each and every person on this virtual call, to each and every person in Davis, in Walnut Creek, in Maui, in Honolulu, to each and every person in this country, on this planet, to the entire universe. Breathing in and out, settling down now, knowing that God is the light that shines so bright in each of our hearts, and that I am also the light that shines bright. One with God, one with being, one with breathing, one with love. I settle into a time of silence now, a time of silence. In the silence, love is there. In the silence, peace is there. In the silence, God is there. In the silence. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling renewed, refreshed, feeling loved, and giving love. I slowly return to this time and place. Breathing in and breathing out, the fingers begin to wiggle and the toes begin to wiggle, and I slowly begin to move the shoulders up and down and up and down, and taking in a bigger breath now and holding it for a moment. And then exhaling, my eyes slowly open and I come back to this now moment, saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Now my hands do your work. Now my lips speak your truth. Now my life is the image image of your love, Spirit, Spirit in me. Now my voice sings your song. Now my heart is at peace. Now my soul is the laughter of a child. Spirit, Spirit in me. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Now my hands do your work. Now my lips speak your truth. Now my life is the image of your love, Spirit, Spirit in me. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Now my voice sings your songs. Now my heart is at peace. Now my soul is the laughter of a child. Oh, Spirit, Spirit in me. Oh, Spirit, Spirit in me. Spirit in me.
David Trolley, thank you. The fabulous, the wonderful David Trolley. We are so lucky. Thank you, David. That was beautiful. I just really enjoyed it. That song is by Michael Gott. If you remember, Michael Gott joined us last year in November, the minister at Unity of Houston, and many albums out there. Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to be back here doing the talk this morning. And I want to just take a moment for a couple of housekeeping things. First, I want to say that I see that Emily Threat popped on and is with us this morning. And know, Emily, that we're holding you in our prayers. And we see that in the midst of everything that's going on there, that you find happiness, that you know happiness, that happiness comes into your life. So thank you for being here. It's good to see that you're safe. Blessings to you. And then a couple of other things I wanted to just update you on. First of all, the board and several other members and myself are going to meet on Saturday to do a visiting session to move us into the future of what Unity of Davis is all about. But we had to reschedule that till September the 9th because this COVID thing is happening again, and several of us have it. So not me, I mean, several people have it. And so we'll be redoing the visioning session on September 9th. So we look forward to updating you about that when it happens. And I wanted to invite you to take a look at the e-news and at the classes coming up. Most of them are limited in the number of registrations that we're going to take this time so that we can really have a more meaningful class. And so they're starting to fill up. You've got Reverend Elizabeth, Reverend Linda Martella, or Elizabeth Longo, Linda Martella-Whitsitt, and Emily's journaling workshop. And then in early 2024, I'm going to be doing a course from Eric Butterworth, Spiritual Economics. It's a wonderful book, and I'm going to do it with Bob Hardy, and we're going to do it with Unity of Walnut Creek. So look forward to that, Spiritual Economics in the first part of 2024. And then last, before I begin talking about the law of mind action, I know you all read my article, my little blurb in the newsletter that came out the week before the last. I'm sure everybody read it and know that in it I said, well, drop me a note and let me know how you're doing with being in the middle way, about practicing the middle way. And I know I haven't gotten any emails because everybody's just so busy, but if you have a minute, you can look for my article once a month in the e-news. It's down a little ways, so you have to read down and just so that you know. And I'm going to always ask you to let me know what you're thinking about it. So don't hesitate to write me a short little response, and I'll be glad to get back to you. I don't get to see you very often, so it'll be nice to do some communication with you. So enjoy the article and enjoy the practice of being in the middle way, staying in the middle way. Well, when I first started, and I said it last week and the week after, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit before each of these 5 principles, each of these 5 statements, each of these principles and practices. And what I want to repeat myself saying this week is that if you bring these 5 basic principles, these 5 basic statements into your life and really, really, really allow them access, and really, really, really allow yourself access to them, life-changing events can happen, will happen, that the struggle of the human experience can become easier. It really can. It can become easier. The stories in your head will slow down, and you will be able to recognize the stories sooner. You'll be able to stop them and bring truth and practice into your human existence. Let me say that one more time. Bring truth and practice into your human experience by recognizing and stopping the stories sooner. That's what it's all about, because those stories are creating your reality. Those stories, well, you'll see in a minute how they are the law of mind action happening. So these 5 key statements are a lifestyle, and I invite you to participate in them, to embrace them, to learn more about them, and to practice them. And we also said in the last couple of weeks that we're going back to something that Reverend Kelly Isola says, that the first principle tells us that there is one presence and one power, God. And what we are traditionally known as the other 4 principles, she believes, and I agree, are really practices. They are 4 ways of bringing that one presence and one power, that principle of oneness, into conscious awareness, and then acting from that awareness of oneness. And so Linda Martella-Whitsitt says, well, we can really combine those first 2, that God is and I am, and then bring 3 practices into it. And that's so true. And Elizabeth Longo in her class said, well, let's do a shorter version of these 5 statements. So we've said God is absolute good, everywhere present, that I am, that human beings have a spark of divinity within them, the Christ spirit within. So God is, I am, and then today, I think. The law of mind action. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. I pray. We're going to talk about prayer and meditation next. And then I live these principles. I live without, I can think them, I can say them, I can believe them, but without putting them into action, really not going to happen in this human experience. We've got to take action. So, in principle 1, or in the first statement, we've established that God as love only, the source, the one source, spirit, all space and time, all substance and all thought, the divine divinity. And we said that that's a good place to be, that from that place faith is born and we have hope, and that it allows us to imagine, and substance and manifest itself from imagination. And that with saying that God is, it gives us a way to settle down our existential angst. That God is the answer that we have to existential angst. Existential angst, those questions that we ponder. Where did I come from? What am I? How did it all begin? Was there a Big Bang? What happens after I die? What are the answers to all those questions that, well, up until today, we didn't have an answer for, but now we know God is. And so with that, we can go forth and say that if God is, I am. Everything in this human experience is God, and therefore I'm in this human experience. So therefore, I am one with God, and therefore I am. I am one with the divine, and I am divine. And so I have available to me all of the resources that I need for this human experience, that the people of Maui have available to them right now, everything that they need to make it through this human experience, that the people of Ukraine have everything that they need, and the people of Russia have everything that they need to make it through this human experience, that we have all the resources that we need. And so now we're ready to talk about, I think, and really that's what it's all about. So today we talk about the law of mind action. What you think is what you get. And I said before the service, somebody said it, Ann said it, that Reverend Rich said he has a lot to say about this. Well, it's not true. There's not much more to say about it. What you think is what you get. What you think is what you get. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Several weeks ago, during the last couple of weeks, I've been asking a couple of you, well, what kind of class do you want me to teach next? I'd like to teach another class. And everywhere I asked, one of the answers is, are you going to teach metanoia? Are you going to talk about what Larry Schneider talked about? Are you going to teach about change your thinking, change your mind? Well, guess what? I'm talking about it right now. Let's nutshell it. This is what Larry Schneider was talking about. Metanoia. The kingdom of heaven is right now. It's not later on. It's right now. So let's bring it right now. Let's think thoughts of love, think thoughts of good, think thoughts of service, create what we want in this human experience that decreases the struggle of the human experience. Thoughts held in mind produce like kind. The law of mind action refers to the idea that positive thoughts attract positive results and negative thoughts lead to negative results. This law is a central belief which forms the basis of Unity's attitude about health, prosperity, and success. So it is the basis of Unity's process. It's the basis of new thought. What you think is what you get. Knowing that God is there and we have everything that we need, we can take, if we want to, a positive twist on anything. In the midst of our own death, in the midst of our own end of this human experience, how we really don't like to think and talk about that, but we can bring love and happiness to it. And we do have everything that we need to make it through that experience, and we can do it positively. And Unity has been saying this for some time. At the 100th year celebration of Unity, they took a concise look at some of the basic tenets of Unity, that prosperity, healing, and human relationships are all created through the law of mind action and are the topics that are discussed by some of Unity's most eloquent ministers. So I want to show just a very short video right now. So get ready to see this short video. And it's three Unity ministers, a very young Jim Rosemarty, Eric Butterworth, and Reverend Sharon Poindexter, talking about the law of mind action. It's about 1 minute and 6 seconds. So let's watch that now. And here we go. Oops, I'm gonna, forgive me. I have to turn the sound on with this. Share sound, there we go. All right.
As Myrtle's shift in identity began to occur, and she began to see herself just not as a physical body, but as a spiritual being, that state of consciousness became like a seed. And that seed, a thought, a state of consciousness, would then manifest itself in her life. And over a period of time, it manifested as a perfect body. So the law of mind action was actually enacted as a part of her life experience.
The important thing is to know that life is limitless in its nature. And there's no limitation to the healing flow of life, other than the limitation of man's conscience to accept it.
Our own reality is created by the thoughts that we hold. One of the key words there, I think, is hold. In Unity, we say, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind.
And it's sort of like when you toss a stone or a pebble into water. When that stone or that pebble hits the water has no choice except to respond to the stone having fallen in. And the law of mind action works with that same kind of precision.
Life becomes
And the law of mind action works with that same kind of precision. So I want to bring one more aspect of this to you before I give you some examples. So in Mark Hicks's truthunity.net website, there's a plethora of information on the law of mind action. And then we go back to the class that Larry Schneider taught us, and it's truly the law of mind action. But in the Truth Unity website, there's an excerpt from Reverend Phil White, and it's several of his previous talks. And in this talk, Phil says this: you will come to understand what is kept in mind and that produces after its own kind are images, not thoughts. The law of mind action should be, I believe, images held in mind produce after their own kind. The same may be said about Unity's third principle. We don't shape our experiences so much by thinking as we do by images. The third principle should be restated. I believe we shape our experiences by the activity of mental images. That takes it to the next step, because what we all say is, oh, if I think that, is it going to happen? Well, no. It's thoughts held in mind, first of all, so you got to keep that thought there and think it over and over. And then how do we bring it into this human experience? Well, we've talked about the creative process in New Thought over and over. that the first part is imagination, our gift of imagination, the power of imagination. We create images, we imagine, and then what? We bring them, we manifest them in this human experience with our faith. We believe it, we want it, we desire it, and we have faith that we can. And so we do. We manifest that in this human experience. And so that was the young Jim Rosemurgy that was talking about Myrtle Fillmore. And then after him was Eric Butterworth, and then Sharon Poindexter. And when Jim Rosemurgy was speaking, he talked about Myrtle's event, Myrtle's healing experience, Myrtle having the perfect body. And of course, each of us right now have a perfect body. Right now, exactly as it is. Do you believe that? If you don't, then you're setting yourself up for whatever that brings. But if you believe it because it's true, no matter what is going on in this human experience, you still have a perfect body and you're moving forward with it. And you know what? I have to tell you, I'm really, after thinking a little bit more and after the last couple months, I really personally understand what Myrtle did a little bit better. I really do, because I want to go back to when I was talking, and I've referenced this several times, about loneliness. And my experience after I was in the hospital, and then I came out and I had hypertension, they said. And if you remember, I was taking my blood pressure about 962 times a day when I should have been taking it once every other day. And sending it into the doctor. And really, I mean, I don't want to tell you the vision I was having in my mind. And then I go to the doctor, and it was like, you know, something had to happen. And he says to me, "Are you having a midlife crisis, Richard?" And I was like, "Oh, who is this guy? Am I having a midlife crisis?" And then leaving his office. Now, here's the important part. All that is just the human experience, but sitting outside of his office, I was beating myself up. Oh my God, I was beating myself up. You've got saggy skin. You'll never lose it. Now you've got hypertension. You're going to have a stroke next. Oh my God. I mean, there wasn't one thing right about me. You ever done that? Yes. I'll probably do it again because it's in this human experience, right? But I got to tell you, it hit me after I did that talk. I'm creating it myself. I'm taking myself down a road that I don't want to go down. Why am I walking down that road? Thank you, Larry Schneider. Metanoia, change your thinking, change your life. Oh boy. And it works because I believe it. And so I started looking in the mirror. Naked. Oh, that's not the best way to look in the mirror at this age, but it brings it full on. And I started telling myself, you look great. You really do. You look great. I love my legs. You see, I had the hardest problem with my legs, right? They weren't what they used to be. I've told you all this. They've lost all their hair. They're not big calves like they used to be. I don't want them to be that way. But I hadn't accepted the way that they were. And I really do love them now. And I had to begin telling myself that. I had to begin telling myself that. And I had to begin telling myself, you want to build on that again. You want to change it. You want to look healthy. You want to feel healthy. So I got myself back to the gym. Now, you heard me having problems with that, right? And so it wasn't easy. I'm not saying, oh, well, I'll go back to the gym and I went. No, I still have to fight every day. I can find 100 reasons not to go to the gym, but I knew I needed somebody to work with me there. I had to give in to that. that I'm not going to make the progress I want without taking the direction that I need. So when I went there and worked out with that trainer, I made myself wear a tank top, so I could look at myself in the mirror with a tank top on and see what I needed to do for myself and accept it. Let me say that word again, and accept it, and accept it. I have to accept myself exactly as I am right now in this human experience. And by accepting myself, that also includes loving myself. I had to love myself exactly as I am. So, in the midst of all that, I had to create an image of myself, just like Phil White says. I could think it, but I needed to create an image. It's that creative process of the entire universe, that creative process of the human experience, that creative process of thought. First, I imagine my thoughts come up into an image. And if I want it, I hold on to it and I create from that image. I bring manifestation. I create into this human experience. Thinking, according to Phil White, assembles ideas and mind substance into the mental form of what is desired. If thought, now this is important, listen, if thought remains unexpressed, audibly or silently, it goes no farther than the mental realm. The law of mind action requires the expression and manifestation of thought by the spoken word. I love myself. I accept myself exactly how I am. I see my arms not having as much flab as they do, and I picture them. I speak it out loud. I bring it into manifestation. And Phil White reminds us that this law is always at work. It's always working. It is always working in this human experience. However, if thoughts of fear, anxiety, worry take hold of the consciousness, then truth is prevented from coming forth and manifesting in every area of our life. If thoughts of fear, anxiety, or worry, how many of us spend time worrying, take over, take hold of the consciousness, then the truth is blocked, is prevented from coming forth and manifesting all the good, all of what Phil and Dorothy Pearson said, the best is yet to be. All of that best is not going to come because of what we're thinking. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, in his book on prosperity, says this: the law of mind action will bring forth according to the type of thinking and speaking that is predominant in us. Knowing the unfailing power of the spoken word, we need to be very sure that we have prayed for guidance in the words we speak. We need to be very sure that we have prayed for guidance in the words we speak. Because God knows I know what's happened when I've spoken words that I haven't prayed for guidance first. I mean, we can all do it, and it's not what we want to come out of it. So I have one more story for you quickly this morning, and it's how metanoia works. It's how the law of mind action works. It's what Phil White is talking about, and it builds on what I was talking about going to the gym. So I've said this before, but I'll tell you again, and it's nice for me to remember it. About 30 years ago, well, I was quite the step aerobics kind of guy. Yeah, I was. I lived in a high-rise building in the Fillmore section of San Francisco, and there was and still is a 30,000 square foot gym in the lower level of it. All I had to do was to take an elevator to the gym. It was hard to find an excuse not to go, right? I mean, oh, I don't feel like riding in an elevator today. Oh, I don't want to go down. I think I'll stay up today. I won't go to the gym. But I frequently went. I did. I went frequently, and it was fun. And I would do a level 3 step aerobic class twice a week. And guess what? I was pretty good because I practiced. And I want to tell you that I could do a mean Charleston across 2 high steps, and I could do it fast. Those were the days of wine and balance. I had balance in those days. Today, I'm not in the midst of the days of wine and balance. So let's fast forward 30 years. And here I am last week at the gym with this trainer, with Jason, and he brings his step over and he has me stepping up and then coming down with the other foot and then leaving the left foot on there, coming down with the right foot, stepping up with the right foot, coming down with the right foot, stepping up. Okay, you got it? And then doing the left foot. Let me tell you something. I was all over the place. It was everything I could do to stay on the top of the step, and coming down, I was everywhere. It was definitely not the days of wine and balance. Well, I finished that, and here comes my mouth at Jason. Well, I don't know what's going on here. 30 years ago, and he looked at me at 30 years ago. Well, here we go again. 30 years ago, I could do this, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And you know, okay, he said, let's go over here and start this set again. Okay, we'll go back over and do some arm exercises. So I'm going in my mind. Larry Schneider comes in. Richard, metanoia, son. Metanoia, change your thinking, change your life. And I'm standing there thinking, I'm picturing that level 3 step aerobics class. I'm going up and down on that step. That is a neural pathway for me. It's a neural network. It's there. I didn't have to work very hard to tap into it. I claimed it again. I wanted it. I imagined it. I saw myself going up and down on that step. And I couldn't wait to get back to that exercise in the next set. And I marched over there. And guess what? I know you all think I'm going to tell you that I fell off the step or something, but no, it was the days of wine and balance. I went up and down on that step. I didn't do it as fast as I did 30 years ago. Thank God, because I'd have been all over. I would have needed a glass of wine. And after 30 years of sobriety, I didn't need that, right? Thoughts held in mind. The images that we create for this human experience, we can manifest them. I can manifest them. You can. It's a choice point. We can do a metanoia. We have all the tools we need. We have values. We have goals. We have beliefs. We have everything we need in this human experience to change our thinking and change our life. Positive thoughts give rise to health-supporting chemicals, while negative thoughts give rise to harmful chemicals. So says Paul Hasselbeck in his book, Point of Power. Our thoughts can depress our immune system. So it's important to watch the thoughts we hold in our minds and change them when they do not reflect what we experience. I have heard someone say that once one achieves or fully realizes his or her Christ consciousness, that the outer events and experiences of life will all be good, that life will be easy and wonderful. This stems from the misunderstanding of the law of mind action. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Events do not cause feelings. It is how we perceive, view, and think about events or comments that give rise to feelings. What do you want to manifest? You know that God is. You know that I am. Now, I think, therefore I am. Have a good week. Practice the law of mind action. Thank you.